Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Championship Wrestling.
Hey folks, this is Myron from the Tap Tap Wrestling Podcast. Today I am joined by Brittani Nikole, a host, interviewer, announcer, commentator out of the New Orleans area. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am doing terrific. I've actually been looking at your social media for a while because it is very striking in how well it is organized, how well it is tagged, and how well a good job you do of putting people and yourself over on it.
Thank you. I try.
I want to tell you how impressed I was. We work real hard on getting all our tags and all that stuff right on social media posts because it really matters as far as our downloads and our views and stuff. And it's a really hard thing to figure out perfectly, and you seem to be hitting it great. How did you learn how to do all that?
Well, it was one of those things of the algorithms of the social media era have shifted over time, but it's one of those things is the one thing that has stayed is the power of tagging and hashtags and stuff like that. And it seems like the more hashtags you do, the more audience you reach. And it also helps put over if you have a tagline or a gimmick or something to say or a specific thing. For instance, Elev8pro, who I work for, they have a saying that says, "Together we rise." So, that's a hashtag that's pretty much in almost every post that they put. So when I, have anything related to them, I make sure to add that so that it can be tagged on. And it just continues from there. I try to push for people to do it. I actually learned from drag queens and other, cabaret performers and entertainment performers that we're trying to get their shows looked at and get more audience members, because the more that you tag, especially in New Orleans here, because we're such a tourist city, a lot of people put hashtag New Orleans or hashtag New Orleans events and stuff like that. And a lot of tourists look that up.
Oh.
And so it pulls a lot of tourists into all the different shows here in New Orleans because there's so much to do. And so I figured, So I started tagging entertainment, hashtag entertainment, hashtag New Orleans, hashtag NOLA entertainment, and just trying to pull even tourists to come see wrestling, because that's also a weird market that not every city or town has, but New Orleans is so unique when it comes to that because we are such a tourist attraction that if we can also get tourists to come and see us and check us out, they can spread the news other places, and it just kind of creates this. So I really learned it from, I have to give it up to singers and musicians and drag performers. They really kind of helped me fine tune my social media skills when it came to learning how to boost the signal, as it was, for all of the social media-ness. And I love doing it. There's kind of a trick to it to be able to, put things out at a certain time, because there is peaks in the day that people are looking at social media, the first thing in the morning when they wake up, lunchtime, after dinner. So there's certain times that you should be posting in order to get the biggest audience and not be lost in the shuffle. So it's fascinating. I find it really fun and fascinating to find the ways to get into more people's, views.
Definitely. My buddy Nick, who actually owns the podcast, and he does the website, and he sets release times and the Patreon. He's been monitoring that, and he's incredibly a numbers guy, and he's kind of tweaked it where he knows what time of day to release a show to get the most. Because I was like, let's release it in the morning so we can get drive time. But it doesn't do as well as if you release it at noon, and they can have it a whole day to look at before they get in their car the next day.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Magic.
It's fascinating. It's so fascinating. And with the new algorithms, it's one of those things of you've got to have a good team of people behind you to like on your post and comment underneath, because the more comments you have, even just a simple emoji or whatever, it boosts that post back up to the top of other people's pages because it looks like it's become so popular. So it's this, you kind of have to have your own social media army that's backing you up as well to help boost that signal.
Yes. And I think that's I think that's lacking in a lot of wrestling because I don't want to insult fans or wrestlers or anything, but I don't think a lot of people understand marketing online.
100%. And I mean, it's one of those things, but I don't want to insult them either, but facts are facts, and it shows. I mean, I preach a lot to the trainings at Elev8pro's training center. Like, I tell them a lot, like, look, you are a product. You are a product for yourself. You are a product for the companies you work for. You're a product, especially if you have like a title, you're a product. And it's something that I learned from, Dusty Rhodes is one of my idols, and I learned from him, not personally, I wish. I learned from like reading his books and like studying him. It's what are you selling? He always said, no matter what, whether it's in the ring, out of the ring, or whatever, it's always what are you selling? And since social media is such a boom, you're selling yourself. Like you're selling the company, you're selling the promotion, you're selling your next show, you're selling your championship, you're selling these kind of events. And so it's always what are you selling? And so you've got to make sure like everything you post and everything you do is geared towards that next step in order to keep you moving up.
Branding is so important.
Branding is so important. I love a good brand.
Yep. Well, that's one thing. What's one thing we learned? We before we went to our first indie show after we started doing the podcast, we had logo shirts made, and regardless if we go into to a wrestling show, or we go up to WrestleCade, or we just hanging out someplace where we know stuff's going, we always have our logo shirts on.
Yeah.
And so people,
I want to go do WrestleCade. I want to do WrestleCade so bad.
It's amazing. We've already got all our stuff for it. It's amazing. I have so much fun.
I know. I messaged them and was like, "Hey, if you need somebody to do interviews or ring announce or do any kind of thing, like here's my reel, here's this."
Well, see,
I haven't heard anything.
You've got a reel, but here I was so amazed. You have a website where on your website you can get your contact information, examples of your work, and your resume.
Yes.
You are presenting yourself as a legitimate business person, somebody who's out there trying to market themselves, is where to find you, what you can do, and examples of it. That's phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to like, pitching and selling it. And I just thought it would be so much easier because I found myself, and I still attach it because I don't want to force people to have to go search on my page, even though it's pretty simple to look at it. But I wanted a place that was condensed enough to where if somebody wants to look at my stuff for potential bookings, not only do you have all my social media stuff that you can click on and see, you also have my full physical resume, and then you also have my reels and how to contact me. Like, I wanted it to be in that whole grouping to be like, here's everything you possibly could ask for handed to you. And
the best part about it is the name. It's simple, and it tells you exactly what it is. Tell those folks what it is. It is lookitsbrittany.com. So it's LOOK. Oh, God, I can't spell now, apparently. LOOKITSBRITTANI. So if you I know it's a weird way to spell Brittany, but if you want to look at Brittany, that's where you go. Yeah. That's so cool. So you're pretty much a jack of all trades in the wrestling business. Host, interviewer, announcer, commentary. I've done commentary on shows, and I'm going to tell you it's some of the hardest thing I've ever done. It is. I love it so much, though. It's one of those things of I haven't been able to, I still not as on par with play-by-play as some of the greats, but I love being color commentator. I love that kind of stuff. I love being able to have a little bit of an opinion, but also still call the action in the ring and everything. So I really do enjoy that. And I love ring announcing. Interviews are some of my faves. I love being able to be a part of the process. When I was a kid, I loved watching wrestling. I'm from Ohio originally, up near Cleveland area, and I grew up on a small little, it was a township. It was a suburb of the village where I went to school at, and it literally was called the Village of Wakeman. So, that's how small my community was. And I always thought that I was going to grow up and become a wrestler. I was like, I'm going to move to Florida when I turn 19. I'm going to become a wrestler. And then I turned 19 and moved to New Orleans and was like,
close enough. And then I didn't become a wrestler, but it was one of those things of afterwards I kind of fell out of wrestling when I moved to New Orleans in like the, mid 2000s. I stopped watching, and then WrestleMania 30 came to town, and I was like, oh my God, I loved wrestling so much. And I started watching it again, and I was like, I'm going to go to WrestleMania 30. And I went to and I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm at this age in my life where I don't think that I want to beat my body up at this point. Not that I can't, but I don't want to. I'm like, but I love the media standpoint. I want to be a part of the entertainment behind the scenes and on the mic and all that stuff. And so I was like, then and there, that week I called my mom and was like, I think I'm going to start trying to be like an announcer and interviewer and stuff like that, and like commentator and stuff for pro wrestling. And my mom's like, okay. And like a month later, I had a job as an announcer interview, because I was like, all right, I found a place. Okay, I'm gonna go work here.
Cool. The wrestling business it's such a different business than any other thing in the world.
Oh yeah.
It's wild, and you either can get in or you can't. Or the thing we found out is you just have to go to enough shows that eventually they get used to seeing you there.
Yeah.
And then they trust you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. For all of you fans that need to know, just show up to enough shows and eventually you're going to get a job doing something, security, merch, something. Like if we see you enough, we're going to be like, cool, awesome. Hey, can you be a plant for this part of the show? Cool, awesome. You don't mind if we hit you, right? Sweet.
Now, as an announcer, I know the quality of the PA system has got to be your biggest bug.
Oh, how did you know?
Oh, no, because I watch wrestling, and we go to independent wrestling shows, and some shows are like, and the other ones are totally clear.
Right. And that's the thing too, is like, it is a weird mixture. It'll be a mixture of the PA system, the microphone, the volume, and the announcer themselves. Because sometimes the mic could be crystal clear when you test it if you're talking normal.
Yes.
But some announcers have this weird habit of trying to sound like Michael Buffer, but then amplifying it and sticking the microphone almost directly into their mouth. You've seen it.
I've seen it. And as someone who talks on a microphone for this podcast all the time, you have to be conscious about where the mic is in relation to your mouth, or it ruins everything. Yes. And so I feel like that's the kind of thing that happens. But luckily for Elevate, like, Wayne, his name's Wayne, and he runs our sound. His day job is he works with sound equipment and video equipment and stuff like that. And so when he literally came to, again, wrestling fans, here's how you get in. He came to the show as a fan and watched a couple shows, and like watched and was like, this production could be done better. And so he literally asked if he could come and like run the sound and work the cameras and stuff like that. And he's the one who's been doing all the amazing editing and filming and everything of all of the Elev8pro shows that are on Fight TV, and like all of my stuff for my reels and everything. Like, he's done all of the videos for it basically. And his sound quality, like, I'm spoiled by him because the mics work wonderful. There's always backups. He makes sure the sound is great. You know, the commentary team, like, even though they're there, because we do some events, if we have to, we'll do post commentary, but most of the events we try to do live commentary, which is, you know, not as common in the independent scene. And so he makes sure, like, he's just wonderful at all of the stuff. So I've been spoiled by him. But yeah, I've been to other promotions where it's you definitely got to fight with it. Especially, the thing is the mic, you could test it all day long
and it'll sound wonderful. But if that team has the mic channel and the entrance music channel on the same channel, you're never going to get heard again when the music's playing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen guys that are wonderful promo cutters that will go to a ring and cut a promo that looks like it'd be terrific, but I can't hear a word they said.
Yes, that makes me so sad, because it's one of those things of when you get somebody who can really cut a promo, then, you want to be able to hear them. Like, some of the people that I've watched, I mean, Effie is one of them that I love to watch. Effie cut a promo. Serpentico is fantastic at cutting promos. I mean, I've heard, but again, you have to have a good sound system. And I feel like that's just part of your whole product in general, having that kind of quality of everything. Because if you run a show and you book all these like ex-WWE stars, or you book all of these top Impact stars, or AEW, whatever, you book all these top stars and everything, but you don't have a good ring announcer, and you don't have a good referee or multiple referees, and you don't have a good interviewer, and your interviewer is like monotone and bland and doesn't, it's lacking. It's really lacking. And it makes me sad, because I see a lot of companies that have these great products and put on these really imaginative shows, but then when you watch it and you hear the announcing and you hear you see the interviews or whatever, you're like, oh dear.
Yeah, people remember Mean Gene's interviews.
Yeah.
And last year at WrestleCade, I had the most surreal experience. We were all sitting in the bar, and this was before he passed away, and Bob Backlund is doing headstands in the hotel bar.
God, that sounds about right.
And Mean Gene turns around and addresses the entire bar. Look here, ladies and gentlemen. And he does the whole thing like it was like I was a kid watching the old Coliseum videos. And I popped so hard. Because they remember that voice, because that voice gets the talent over. It's a tool.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and that's, again, like, that's what I tell the wrestlers. I'm like, I'm here for you. I'm here to put you over either on the mic, or if you want to, like, I'm here to put you over if you come after me. Because if you're a heel and the people in the crowd like think I'm adorable and sweet and lovely, they don't know me personally. One, two, it's one of those things of like, you're gonna get cheap heat. Yes. Like it's an easy thing, and very few people want to act on that. Especially me being a girl, like especially the guys are like, oh no. And I'm just like, no, it's okay. I'm like, don't actually punch me or anything, but like get in my face, or like shove the mic at me, or do something, like you can, if it calls for it, or if that is part of your character, like you can, like, I'm not a delicate flower. Just don't clock my lights out. Yes. But other than that,
well, your response to their actions makes their actions more extreme, more dramatic. It puts them over harder.
Exactly. And I love doing that too. Like that's part of my thing. Like I do have this, like, me and Serpentico, we work a lot together in Elev8, because he's the Elev8pro champion. But he has a great rapport with me, where he has this constant thing where he's either backing me into a corner, yelling at me, ripping the microphone out of my hand, telling me to do my job, like, and we have this constant back and forth. I remember when I was making one of my hosting reels, I texted him and was like, you do realize that the amount of, like, all the stuff that I have from all the shows we've done, I could do, like, just a 5-minute reel alone of you just backing me into different corners and yelling at me. Like, I've got, like, more than 5 minutes worth of material from all these different shows of you just constantly doing that to me. Like, I'm like, one of these days it's going to break and I'm going to punch you in the face. Right?
That is so awesome. That is so awesome, because you have a weird understanding of this. I mean, like, it's, some people get it, and you just seem like you get the way it works. That's awesome.
Thank you. I mean, I try. I've watched wrestling since I was a kid, and I mean, that doesn't give anybody the criteria to judge and critique and pick apart wrestling, smart marks. But I mean, it's one of those things of like, I love the entertainment. You know, when I try to explain it to people that are like, "Wait, you watch wrestling?" I'm like, "Yes," and they're like, "But you're a girl." I'm like, and they're like, "But you're a pretty girl." I'm like, "What the hell? What does that mean?" I'm like, I know lots of pretty girls who watch wrestling. Okay.
Yeah, you're either a fan or you're not. That's all it is.
Right.
I can't get my girlfriend to watch now. If it's WrestleMania, and I want to watch it on the big screen upstairs, she will tolerate it. My daughter, nothing to do with it. Will not come near it.
Oh, and that's the thing is I try to get people, I'm like, it's like Greek theater.
Yes.
That,
well, girlfriend's a theater major.
Yeah.
Okay. But some of the shows that we've been to in the past have been mud shows. And the last show I took my daughter to a couple of mud shows, and she got all creeped out.
Yes.
And it was not good, but there's the great promotion up the road where I've seen Effie, where I've seen Alex Cruz, where I've seen Ray Fury work. That promotion they'd flip them out. They'd love it so much. And they won't go now because I've mud showed them.
See, once you do those mud shows, they'll never go back.
Oh my God. They're a lot of fun sometimes, but yeah, it's tough.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing is there's so many different types that play their role. I mean, from people who are really into those death matches and like all of that kind of stuff to the people who think that only technical wrestling and refined, there's so much of a scale of wrestling. You can't put it in a box and be like, no, this is how wrestling is. You can have shows without a ring. Like, you can have shows with outside. You can have shows you could have a show on a trampoline for all I care. I don't know. It's just one of those things of like, there's so many different ways to have a wrestling show. But the one thing that should stay the same and be the main focus is entertainment, And I think that's what we're seeing more of a push of is people actually doing stories and continuing on. It's not just match after match after match after match that that has no kind of arc or no kind of pull to the fans. Even if it's the first time you sing the show, 9 times out of 10, they're going to do a recap either verbally or on a Titantron or through the host themselves, the announcer themselves. And that way you can get into the story and be like, oh, okay, so this is what this match is for.
Now, we actually had a show, Ricky Morton's School in Tennessee. Robert Gibson's School is on the other side of Atlanta, but Ricky Morton's School announced a show over here on the east side of Atlanta in a high-end area, like a fancy neighborhood area. They did not promote it on Wrestling Facebook or Wrestling Twitter. The city promoted it. It was just weird.
Wow.
I only found out by accident. I showed up after work, and they drew almost 200 people, which for a non-promoted show in Georgia is a huge crowd. And they had that crowd in the palm of their hands from the first. Now, it was a school show. I don't know if when I say school show, I mean it was a wrestling show that was put on by a school to give their students exposure in the ring. And that's what they did. It's sole purpose. It was not going to be you weren't going to have your best guys, or you wasn't going to be a great promotion show. Those fans knew who the bad guys were, who the good guys were. And when Robert and Ricky came out and did their match and did the hot tag, everybody in the whole building popped.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It's so amazing how, and that's the telltale signs of a good wrestler and good wrestling is being able to tell apart the good guys and the bad guys. I was told one time I was in a seminar with Bob Holly, and Bob said, you should be able to tell who is good and who is bad from the lockup alone. And it's true. Like from before and to the lockup, like it should already be decided who is the baby and who is the heel in the fans' minds.
Yep.
Like they should know already by then.
Yep.
And if they don't, we have a problem.
If you don't, it's MMA.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know, and I don't watch MMA. I don't care about work rate in the match. I want to see a story. I want to see it told correctly. And the promotions that miss out on that are the promotions that typically go under.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I love seeing, you know, the abilities of these athletes because they are athletes, and I love seeing the ability of them being able to do these, you know, flippy moves and crazy stuff like that. But I also want a story out of it. If your match doesn't call for you to do a moonsault off the top, then don't do it just because you can. You know, it's one of those things of just make sure that it goes in part of the story and it's not just you trying to get all of your stuff in.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And so I really do enjoy watching the storytelling. You know, it's like, great, I'm really happy that you can do those moves, but like, why are you doing those moves?
Now, what do you watch? If you were just not your promotion, if you were to turn wrestling on television or internet or streaming, what would you watch?
I mean, I stick close to WWE. I know people, you know, hate them at the moment. You know, it happens like every ebbs and flows every 5 years or so where people are like, yay, WWE, boo, WWE. But I do watch them just because it is, you know, the largest product we have and the longest reigning product we have to date. I watched AEW. I like what I see in AEW. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of being like AEW is going to destroy WWE, blah, 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 because I don't like that mentality. I think there is enough wrestling fans and enough people in the world that there's enough wrestling for all of us. Like there's enough, like that's why I don't like promotions that are in the same like cities or same states or whatever that like hate each other and like go against each other, because it's one of those things of if more people know about wrestling and like wrestling, we all win.
I think promote what you love and don't watch what you hate.
Right, exactly. And if you hate it, ask why you hate it, and then if you know, and if you are able to voice your opinions to the company, if it's not like a large enterprise like WWE, but if it's you know, you're able to voice those opinions, like maybe send them an email, send them a message, you know, and word it eloquently. Don't be like, yeah, you suck, you know. but it's one of those things of like, maybe that's something the promotion hasn't even thought about that they're lacking, you know. Maybe they're like, oh, you're right. I don't have, you know, there is no, you know, women's matches in this card. Oh, you're right. Maybe I should be more open to bringing more of these kind of people on board, or bringing people from this state or that, you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's worth a shot to be able to be like, here's the reason I don't watch you, or here's the reason I don't go to your shows, you know. And see if that's kind of a thing. But yeah, I watch WWE. I've watched AEW. I'm interested to see how AEW holds up when they go to weekly shows.
Oh yeah, that's going to be the tell right there.
That's what I'm waiting for, because the telltale sign is like, yeah, you can do these big giant one-offs. You can do them till the cows come home. But is your stories and your creativity going to hold up when you have to pump it out every single week?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I watch Impact. I just watched Slammiversary.
I heard it was great.
Oh my goodness, it was. I have to say the two best matches for me, and it's not being biased because I am a girl, but the two best matches was the 4-way Monsters Ball with Havoc, Su Yung, Rosemary, and Taya, and then the Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan match.
Okay, we covered this on our show last night. I did not watch it, but that is the same thing I heard. And my buddy Nick, who is the co-host, or the host, I'm the co-host, told me that's exactly what he thought. And he hates intergender wrestling.
Yeah, I mean,
that match was awesome.
I like it. I like it to an extent when it's done well.
Yes. And
I think that a lot of people were either giving it flack or completely supporting it, and I think last night kind of, you know, even quieted the haters, because, or not last night, but whenever it played, I think it really shut them up to the point because it was done so well, because the story, if you, I mean, you like a good story in a match, you gotta watch this match, because like just that match alone, because the story and the emotion behind it, like, you know, Tessa made her daddy proud, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was, I mean, I was almost in tears at the end of it, just for the sheer fact of how good it was. Like, I was just like, oh, this is like watching like a crazy drama suspense movie, like where you're just on the edge of your seat. Like it was fantastic. And those are the two things that really stood out to me for Slammiversary. But I don't keep up with Impact a lot. I do on social media, and like I pay attention, but like I don't watch it avidly unless it's a major show. So I would have to say that WWE is what I watch the most of when it comes to like 205 Live, NXT, NXT UK, you know, SmackDown, Raw, Main Event even, you know. It's one of those things of like, I have the network, so I just kind of keep searching through stuff.
I've been watching a lot of MLW lately. Have you checked that out?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Wonderful.
I had Selena De La Renta on my last show. That's coming out soon. And I was just so impressed with her as a evil heel. Like, oh,
I would love to work with her.
Oh, my God, she was so nice. Okay, that was the cool thing. She was nice because she's a working actress. And she had that dead on. And she's so believable. You know, it was awesome. I love what she's doing. That's why I had to have her on. And it just was surreal. I mean, I've met her before, but that character is so different.
Oh, yeah. Know? I mean, it's nice. And that's what I love is I love people who are able to turn it on and off like that, and that are such to an extreme, you know, especially a good heel. Like when you meet a good heel who's actually like genuinely a really nice person in real life and very like sweet and loving, and then in the ring they're your worst enemy. It's like, man, that's one of my favorite things to see. Yeah,
I did this heel, this little vignette with a heel to help a promotion, and before we started recording, we had this great conversation about storyline, and the minute we started cutting the video, he just lit my ass up and then slammed everything down in the phone and hung up. And I'm sitting here like, oh my God, that was so believable, because it was.
You're like, who are you?
But when you work me, it's awesome. I love that.
Right.
Now, where do you want to go with this wrestling business?
I want to take it as far as possible. I mean, that's the thing is I personally would love to work for WWE at any kind of point. I know they're filled to the brim with announcers and interviewers and stuff at the moment, but it seems to kind of fluctuate in and out. And I just want to get in front of them and be like, this is what you're missing, you know? And I want to be there, even if it was to work in the office and do, you know, WWE Now, or like side vignettes or promos, or any kind of like any of their like Facebook stuff and all of their social media stuff. Like, I would love to do that kind of stuff. If AEW wanted me, I'd take AEW. I'll take Impact. I'll take, you know, MLW. I mean, I just want to be able to travel more and work, because it is, honestly, there's very few interviewers or hosts or announcers or all three that travel, you know, and work, you know, extensively outside of like a little like maybe pocket of states, you know.
Agreed, yes.
And it's even harder as that such to get booked in a wrestling promotion, because the mentality at the point is like, why would I pay you to come and do this when I could hypothetically, for the same pay, get another worker, you know, get another wrestler and have another wrestler on the card, you know? And so it's kind of one of those things of like trying to remind the products and the companies, like, not only do you have to have good wrestlers, but you also have to have good referees and announcers and hosts and interviewers and stuff like that in order to make your product stand out among the other ones. And so it's one of those things of like, by investing in me, I am going to give my full front in promotion, production, my performance, my own little like ideas and like, ability to do interviews without you even like trying to coach me or telling me which direction to go. Like, you tell me who you want to be interviewed and what you want said, and like, bam, 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 I'm going to make this production happen. Like, and it's one of those things of like, promotions and promoters have to remember that that is part of your grand scheme when it comes to production and comes to your own promotion, is like, you've got to have all those bases.
Exactly.
And so I'm trying really hard to travel more and to get out there when it comes to more of those things.
Well, that's the thing, though. You do such a good job of promoting yourself. You put out a positive image, a consistent product where people can see it. It's tagged heavily. You've got a website where they can find you. Now, tell everybody where that is again.
Look, it's Brittani.
Mm-hmm.
And it's LOOKITS BRITTANI.
Mm-hmm. And that links you to the Elev8pro website.
Exactly.
Where you can buy tickets.
You can buy tickets for our upcoming shows. We have Elev8pro has an upcoming show on August 31st. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be in Cecilia, Louisiana, which is right outside of Lafayette, Louisiana, and where the Cajun Dome is. And it's just some good old fashioned wrestling with modern wrestling. It's just a great mix of all. I mean, we have the Rock and Roll Express coming.
So awesome still.
Oh, yeah, they're wonderful. And they're actually facing off against two of the Elev8pro trainee graduates, Braxton Hunter and Brandon Law, who are known as the 337 because that's the area code there in Cecilia, Louisiana. They're from there, so it's hometown boys versus iconic hometown boys, kind of in a way, and so it's gonna be a great show. I mean, we have our Elev8pro women's champion Skylar Moore. She's going to be there defending her title. Serpentico, our Elev8pro champion, will be there defending his title. We have it's just always a blast. And we always have, like, there's concessions, and all of the concessions, it's held in the local Cecilia junior high. And so the concessions go to help their booster club and their funding and everything too. So like every time we do shows, all of our shows always have a kickback.
That's awesome.
To the schools or the local charities and stuff like that are there. Raising Cane's actually supports us and is one of our sponsors, and usually either gives us a gift basket or something to raffle off so that we can get more funds for the schools and stuff like that. But yeah, everything we do always has an extra advantage of giving back to the community, because I mean that's what we're trying to get into, is the actual communities themselves by going to these towns, because that's where the fans are. They're in communities, they're in homes, so that's what we try to do.
Now, I saw Ray Fury on that picture, right?
Yes, Ray will be there.
I am probably one of his biggest fans. I've sat and talked with him after shows. We drove all the way to Mississippi to see him.
Oh, yeah, he's so wonderful. He's been with us since the beginning.
Yeah. Never seen him without his mask.
he's been by Alex's side, since the beginning when it comes to the Elev8pro.
I love that guy. Alex Cruz is really sharp. Effie's amazing. That's one guy I never get the chance to talk to very much because he's always moving around so much, and everybody loves him. So
oh my goodness, it's so funny. He's like, I tell him all the time, I'm like, you're like just a tornado. I'm like, because he literally just like wheels his suitcase in the locker room, like gets ready, comes out, does the show, cuts a quick promo with me in the back, and then like boom, he's gone again.
That's awesome.
He's like, I gotta drive 6 hours. Bye. I'm like, okay, awesome, cool, see you later.
Oh my God, he works nonstop. I see him all over the place. Y'all are blessed with an abundance of talent. And also, it's got to be so cool working in that New Orleans area. Oh,
it is. I mean, it is one of those things of New Orleans has such a, just Louisiana in general has such a rich history of wrestling. I mean, you've got Junkyard Dog. I mean, that's one of the main ones that I just like. So many people talk, like, still, like, a lot of our friends, friends and fans who were around to see him work back in the day in the Cajun Dome and the Civic Center and here in New Orleans at, like, the Superdome and all that kind of stuff. Like, they just talk about all of that. And, like, that's what we try to bring back, because besides WWE, honestly, until they started doing, until WrestleMania came to town for to New Orleans, and then WrestleCon came to town with that. Other than that, other than WWE coming to town, wrestling is no longer. You know, it fizzled out when the territories fizzled out really around here. And like little promotions popped up, but they would die so quickly because, again, the promotion wasn't there, the promoting wasn't there, the people weren't there, the fans weren't there. And so we really tried to push that whole, like, oh, no, we're bringing wrestling back to Louisiana. We're bringing wrestling back to New Orleans proper. Like, we're here to bring this entertainment back to you that you remember, that you want to share with your kids and your grandkids. And, you know, like, this is it. This is hometown, old school wrestling with modernness brought into it so that it hits all ages. Yep,
exactly. And you talk about the dog. I'm old enough to have seen him live in Birmingham when I was a kid.
And, that's so amazing.
And just the images that invokes. And if y'all are doing that and able to do that in New Orleans right now, it's ungodly what y'all have the capacity to do. That's so cool.
I mean, and that's what we're focused. I mean, Elev8pro is still a very young company. They're only 3 years old now and about to hit 4 in October. And they've already grown so much when it comes to fan base and comes to reaching out to the community, because, I mean, they're already on Fight TV. And we're starting to do YouTube stuff as well, and like just pushing it out there. You know, and Alex, you know, Cruz, he travels all over. Ray Fury travels all over. Effie, Serpentico, like everyone travels, you know, and has either the belt or has like some kind of connection with Elevate. So it's a great pool, you know, of people. I mean, it's, again, the world of social media and the ability to easily just email somebody or message somebody and be like, hey, look, I would really like you to be on this show. You know, do you think you can come down and do, you know, it's wonderful what you can do nowadays with technology.
Well, we've managed to take social media, and me and Nick both make second careers out of it. And careers we enjoy, you know, and love doing.
Who would have ever thought that was possible?
Exactly. I really appreciate you coming on tonight, Brittani. Thank you. This has been a wonderful conversation. Tell the people one more time where they can find you.
You can find me at lookitsbrittany.com. So it's LOOKITSBRITTANI.com. And that way you'll find all of my social medias, my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter. And then you can find my reels, my email, all of that fun stuff on my website.
And when can we get tickets to that Elevate show?
The Elev8pro show for August 31st in Cecilia, Louisiana. Tickets are actually on sale now. And we do family 4-packs as well, which you actually get like a cheaper rate and a closer seat. And it is a family of 4. So it's one of those things of like, we also have deals for families to come out, and everything from concessions goes back to the Cecilia Junior High School. And then we also have great wrestling coming on. I mean, we've got the Rock and Roll Express coming out to that show on August 31st. So, and the link for all of that is also on my webpage.
Excellent. Thank you. You have a wonderful night. I've had a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. You too.
Thanks.